Welcome to Forum 2019. I'm Ron Painter, CEO for the National Association of Workforce Boards, and I hope you hang with me for a few minutes because I'm going to talk to Samia Amin from the American Institutes for Research. And welcome and thanks for spending some time with us today. Tell me a little bit about, we're going to call it AIR, right?
Perfect.
Can we do that?
That sounds great.
So tell me a little bit about AIR.
So AIR, is a very large nonprofit, and we work a lot on helping governments improve services. And we do that in two ways. We do a lot of research and evaluation on what works, but then we really help organizations apply it, which is a really cool part for me, right? Like, so much research gets done. It
sits on the shelf.
And nobody uses it, and that drives me insane. So I've totally become a researcher gone rogue. I'm very focused on how do you figure out the problems people are facing, especially in workforce on a day-to-day basis, and then how do you build that capacity and get the training and the data they need in real time to change that, right? So that's kind of what AIR does in a nutshell.
So research and data, you're right, used to be done, sit on the shelf. How do you see research and data driving more of the conversation for your clients?
I think what's happening now is all of us have been talking about how the future of work is completely changing, right? But what's happening is, as that's changing, the populations the workforce system serves, their challenges are changing really fast, right? And so if we're at the front lines of practice and helping people deal with challenges, we've got to be smarter about it, we've got to be faster about it, and we've got to do what works, right? And that's where I think research and evaluation and data come in. But I think we've also got to expand the definition of what people think of when they think about research and data. When you say research, I can see people's faces glaze over.
Oh, yes.
And part of it is a mistake of the research community.
It takes us back to quantitative analysis, right?
Exactly.
When we had to do multivariate regression. Yes, okay.
And it's because we've been focused on methods and not the problem, right? And if we expand the definition of data to include really understanding human perspectives, what's the experience of individuals who navigate our systems first, and use those as really rich data points all throughout the process of designing our programs, implementing our programs, pivoting our programs, you're in a different world. So the practice that we have at AIR is bringing together, what can you pull out from data and analytics, but very much these methods, these cutting-edge methods and human-centered design, drawing on insights from behavioral science and figuring out what does that tell us about our programs fast, what do I change tomorrow? But then really having the conversations and that long-standing, ongoing relationships with the people who are doing the work, right? The boards and their customers, and they're twofold customers, right? They're the service providers they serve, but the people who are experiencing the services.
Are we doing better at this as an industry? Are we doing better around looking at data? Are we doing better around trying to sit with it and understand what it's saying?
There's a lot of variation. I think there's a change in that people really understand the importance of it. I think there's still not that much clarity on how does that affect what I'm doing tomorrow?
Yeah.
And that I think has to change, and it has to change faster. And especially if you think about the fact that if you look at the private sector, they're using all these approaches every day in their programming, right? It's in your menu designs, it's in the your banking services, and people have become used to that level of service, and then they walk in, to our centers, to our services, and it's not channeling that richness of insight. And so I think there's, while we're doing better, we need to do it much faster.
How can we do that better? How can we assimilate the research and the data faster? How does it become a core of the decision making?
That's a really great question. And for me, the question becomes how do you make it part of business as usual? And I think if that's the lens we take on it, I think there have to be some serious investments in capacity building. So not have data and research and human-centered design and other things be stuff that other people from outside come and do for you. It's that, our staff, our managers, they learn them as tools of the trade. So I think there's some serious investments that we need to make in capacity building and having people co-own the use of research and evaluation and these innovative methods. And that's beginning to really happen. So you asked, how well are we doing on that front? I'm seeing a lot of that. Especially in the workforce boards, there's a hunger for, they're coming to AIR focuses a lot on going to practitioner conferences, right? And we hear this, I have youth programs, I've developed a really cool program, but nobody's showing up. How do we do it? And we're working with them on these really fast turnaround trials. It's really exciting.
So of the research that you've been doing lately, do you come across research where you, I don't want to say going in, and then you have a surprise? I mean, do you get that from some of what you're doing?
We do. So, for example, we did this really quick turnaround trial in Michigan where our assumption was that they were running the Reemployment Eligibility and Assistance Program. So they were running it as a pilot program, great program, lots of research that it works. And they stood it up and nobody was coming in through the door, And you're like, if anything should work, this should be it. They're providing really rich services. It's awesome, but nobody was coming in. And so we worked with them on, can we do a really fast turnaround trial with you? And then it was really looking at the data analytics of that, like what's the segmentation of customers, that was really interesting. So we did this really fast turnaround, like we designed emails for them that had this awful UI state, UI letter. I don't believe I'm saying this on screen. But sorry, you must report or you will lose your UI benefits. And then we were like, can't change that. But we can help you design emails, low cost, like mass emails. And we sent those out. And what happened was, the interesting part was that all of the change that occurred as a result of that intervention was driven by people coming in through the door. The people who came in through the door.
Just the change in message.
Just the change in message, just the change in tone. And we were expecting maybe it'll increase like program completion rates by 5%, maybe 7% if we're lucky, 15%. 15% more people showed up for the program, 15% more people completed the program, and we know this because we did an experiment. We gave it to half the people, didn't give it to the other half. So that's a remarkable change, right, for just sending an email. And once they were in the door, then they were hooked, the people who came and completed the program, right? And so that told us you really got to figure on that first touch point. And that's why I love the methods we dabble in, right? Human-centered design, behavioral insights. It's looking at what's happening in our workforce centers, day to day, and what are the slight changes we can make, Often you talk about like the big challenges we have, in workforce. And some of the fixes we need are really huge, Ron. You know that, right?
Yes.
Like they're going to require collaboration in Congress.
And patience,
more funding. And then there's this whole slew of problems and frontiers where we can be making really rapid progress through really small lifts, and that hasn't been in a sense sexy enough for research and evidence in the past. And I'm really glad that focus is shifting. People are beginning now to look at operations, and so I'm hopeful that we'll start innovating really fast, and I want to be part of that movement.
Samia Amin from the American Institutes of Research, thanks for joining me.
It's been wonderful. Thank you, Ron.